Fans didn't expect this twist, not from Kirk Frost and definitely not from Mendeecees Harris. The season 13 trailer of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta just dropped, and it's already turning the streets upside down. Two men who've shared years of mutual respect are now staring each other down in a moment so tense. You can almost feel the loyalty shatter through the screen. What caused this sudden fallout? What went down behind the scenes that brought them to this breaking point? In one particular moment, Kirk appears visibly irritated as Mendeecees calls him out for something that clearly crossed the line. And while no punches were thrown, the energy said enough, trust has been broken, and the drama is far from over. Fans are already choosing sides, dissecting every second of the trailer. Was Kirk wrong? Is Mendeecees just fed up? Or is this the beginning of a much bigger war brewing within the cast? Now, before we get into all the layers of this tension-filled drama, let us say this. We don't make things up. This commentary is based on what's clearly shown in the official trailer. If you want receipts, go watch it for yourself. This is the real thing, and we're about to break it all down. When the super trailer for season 13 of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta dropped, fans were expecting the usual mix of glitz, gossip, and reality TV energy. But what they weren't ready for was the quiet, heavy shift that happened the moment Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris stepped into the same frame. This wasn't a loud, in-your-face kind of blow-up. No drinks were thrown. No one raised their voice. But the tension, it was thick enough to cut through the screen. You could feel something unspoken building, and then just like that, it cracked open. The scene kicks off with the cast gathered, talking through what seems like just another group discussion. It's light at first, with a few jokes and sideways glances. But Kirk, always the one to play it cool until he doesn't, drops a line that instantly shifts the mood. He says something like, "You can't be loyal only when it benefits you." Now, he doesn't look directly at anyone, but the energy in the room makes it clear this isn't a general statement. It's aimed, and Mendeecees knows it. He doesn't respond right away. He leans back, lips pressed, just staring. His body language doesn't scream anger, but it speaks of something deeper, disappointment, to maybe even betrayal. Fans on social media were quick to pick up on it. People started flooding the comments, pointing out how the air literally changed once Kirk made that comment. And then Mendeecees finally responds, calm as ever, saying, "Loyalty goes both ways." And that's when the drama starts to bubble from the outside. It might not seem like much, but longtime fans of the franchise know that for Mendeecees to say something like that on camera, something real had to happen behind the scenes. These aren't two men who usually beef on camera. In fact, their relationship has always looked like one built on mutual respect. They've supported each other, spoken on fatherhood, relationships, even business. So seeing them this distance, this cold, it wasn't just surprising, it was unsettling. Then the trailer flashes to a confessional. Kirk, sitting alone, looks straight at the camera and says, "Some people forget who was there when nobody else showed up." Again, no names, no shouting, but his tone. Sharp, calculated. Fans immediately tied it back to Mena. Was Kirk accusing him of switching sides, or worse, turning his back on a bond they had built over years? And the edits only made it more intense. In another scene, you see Mendeecees talking to Yandi, clearly frustrated. He says, I'm not about to sit in a room with people who talk behind my back and then act cool to my face. It's raw. It's real. And it gives fans a clue that maybe Kirk's comment wasn't just out of nowhere. Maybe there were actual conversations happening behind closed doors that made Mendeecees feel blindsided. The real explosion happens when they're all together again. The group is seated around a dinner table, the usual setup for messy conversations and unexpected confessions. Kirk brings something up, an issue from the past, something that was clearly supposed to stay buried. Mendeecees doesn't even let him finish. He cuts in, cool but firm, and says, "If you got something to say, say it to me, not through other people." And just like that, Kirk leans forward, his eyes locked on Mendeecees, and says, "I've always been real. Maybe you just ain't used to that." Silence falls. Nobody dares interrupt. Even Spice, who's never been shy about jumping into drama, just watches. Mendeecees stands up slowly. Not to fight, not to yell, but to leave. And that move, it was louder than any argument. It was a statement. The cameras follow him as he walks out. Yandy calls after him, but he doesn't turn back. The room stays frozen, everyone unsure whether to chase after him or stay planted. Kirk stays seated. He doesn't move, doesn't flinch. And his next line, quiet but heavy, "People show their true colors when the lights come on." Fans were shook because by this point, it was clear this wasn't just a misunderstanding. Something had shifted in their dynamic, and the cracks were now too visible to ignore. Online, viewers started choosing sides. Some defended Kirk, saying he had every right to call out fake loyalty. Others backed Mendeecees, pointing out that he's always stayed out of the messy cast politics and doesn't deserve the shade. People were replaying the clip, analyzing expressions, and speculating what went down off camera to cause such a fallout. And then came the theories. Some fans believe the drama might be tied to business. Maybe Kirk and Mendeecees had a deal that went sideways. Others think it's about loyalty to and that Kirk Matov said or done something she found shady, which Mendeecees couldn't overlook. Whatever the reason, the energy between them now feels too cold to ignore. It's especially wild because both of them have been through so much publicly. Kirk's scandals, his redemption arc, his constant push to prove he's grown, Mendeecees' return from prison, his fight to rebuild trust and show up for his family. They've each had to fight their own battles, and for a while, it looked like they respected each other because of that. But now, that respect feels broken. The trailer gives one more clue. In a blink and do miss it moment, there's a clip of Kirk talking to Scrappy. Kirk says, "Folks think just 'cause they did time, they above accountability." And fans instantly connected that line back to Mena. If that really is what Kirk meant, it would explain a lot. It would explain why Mendeecees looked so hurt, because that's not just a dig, that's personal. But here's what's important to remember. We are not here to twist the facts. We're here to talk about what the trailer actually shows. The drama you just heard about, it's not made up. It's on camera. You can watch the super trailer for yourself. Every look, every pause, every line we've mentioned. This isn't fiction. It's reality TV doing what it does best, revealing just enough to make us question everything. And as it stands right now, Kirk and Mendeecees are no longer moving like two men with shared history. They're moving like two men on opposite sides of a line that's just been drawn. And the question on everyone's mind is this: will they be able to come back from this? Or is this the beginning of a season-long war that's going to leave everyone picking sides? As Mendeecees walks out, the silence that follows doesn't last long. Yendi doesn't chase after him immediately, but the look on her face says everything. Confusion, frustration, maybe even a little disappointment. But what really caught fans' attention was how quickly the atmosphere shifted once he left. Kirk leaned back in his seat, adjusted his collar, and looked around like nothing major had just happened. And that made people talk even more scrappy. Breaks the silence first. He mutters something like, "Damn, not them two," and Rashida quietly agrees. The cast knows what this moment means. It's not just a disagreement. It's a fracture in the group dynamic, and once those start, they rarely get repaired. Later in the trailer, there's another scene, different setting, same unresolved tension. Kirk is standing outside with Rashida, talking about what just happened. He says, "I'm not gonna kiss nobody's ass to keep peace." Rashida nods, but she's clearly trying to get him to see the bigger picture. She tells him, "You gotta stop treating people like they owe you something. That's not how loyalty works." It's subtle, but this is where Rashida starts to show she might not fully be on Kirk's side this time. Fans online were quick to point this out. One person tweeted, "Rashida been defending Kirk for years, but this time she's not feeling it." Another said, "Kirk gotta realize he's not the moral compass of this show." And honestly, the reactions aren't surprising, because in that moment, Kirk doesn't seem like the man who's grown from his past. He seems like the man who still expects people to fall in line just because he's Kirk Frost. Meanwhile, Mendeecees is seen in a completely different scene back at home talking to Yin. It's a raw moment. He says, "I ain't got time to keep explaining myself to people who pretend like they don't know who I am." Yendi listens quietly, rubbing his shoulder, but even she looks like she's trying to process everything. She says, "I just hate that it came to this. Y'all were cool." And Mendeecees shakes his head, saying, "We were never as cool as you thought." Those words hit hard, because fans started questioning if the bond they thought existed between Kirk and Mendeecees was ever real in the first place. Were they just being civil for the cameras? Or did something really happen behind the scenes that tore it all down? Then comes the CURVEBALL in a later trailer segment. Spice is sitting with Bambi, and out of nowhere, she brings up the Kirk and Mendeecees situation. She says, "I heard Kirk was talking to somebody who don't even F with Yendi like that. So maybe that's what this is really about." Bambi raises an eyebrow, clearly intrigued, and says, "Wait, who?" But before Spice can answer, the scene cuts. Classic production move, leaving us hanging right when it gets juicy. But that one line from Spice was enough to spark all kinds of theories. Some fans think Kurt may have linked up with someone from Yendi's past, maybe an old rival, maybe even a former friend turned enemy. Others think it might be tied to business, like Kirk trying to cut a deal with someone that Mendeecees doesn't trust. Either way, it adds another layer to the drama. It's not just about what was said at dinner. It's about actions taken off camera, choices made in silence that are now echoing loudly on screen. And then there's the interview clip. In a solo confessional, Yendi says, "I'm not the type to tell my husband what to think. But when someone starts acting different around you, you notice She doesn't name Kirk, but the implication is there. Fans picked up on her tone immediately. .com. Controlled, but clearly bothered. Back at the group setting, another dinner happens. This time, Mendeecees is there, but the energy is still off. Kirk avoids eye contact. Mendeecees stays quiet. The group tries to keep things light, but it's forced. Mama D, always the wild card, finally blurts out, "Y'all gonna keep acting like ain't nothing wrong, 'cause the energy's off and I ain't crazy." That's when Rashida jumps in, trying to mediate. She says, "Look, everybody's got their own version of what loyalty means. Maybe we just need to clear the air." Kirk smirks, but stays silent. Mendeecees lets out a breath and says, "Some things don't need to be said twice. You show people who you are by what you do." It's a heavy statement. And once again, no shouting. No chaos. Just raw, simmering tension. What's interesting is how the rest of the cast responds. Scrappy tries to lighten the mood with a joke, but no one laughs. Spice crosses her arms and just watches Bambi stirs her drink and avoids eye contact. It's like everyone is waiting for someone else to break. The silent spot, neither Kirk nor Mendeecees budges. That's when production gives us another confessional. Kirk says, "I don't regret anything I said." Folks get real sensitive when they know it's true. Fans were divided. Some applauded him for standing his ground. Others said he's deflecting instead of taking accountability. And then just when you think the tension couldn't go any deeper, the trailer ends on a cliffhanger. A voiceover teases trusts will be tested and alliances will be broken. And we see one last shot, Mendeecees and Kirk walking past each other backstage, neither one acknowledging the other. No handshake, no nod, just silence. And that silence, it's louder than any screaming match. The fandom went wild. Group chats blew up. Comment sections flooded with speculation. One fan said, "This is giving season 3 energy all over again." Another wrote, "I've never seen Kirk this calculated. Something happened and he's not saying what." But here's the key thing: everything we just broke down is real. It's not fiction. It's all visible in the trailer. And if anybody doubts it, they can go watch it themselves. The expressions, the walkouts, the comments there, not edited to mislead. They're raw moments captured in real time. And this season, it looks like it's going to put long-standing relationships to the ultimate test. Men. Mendeecees and Kirk may have walked different paths to get here, but they've both faced adversity, judgment, and growth under the public eye. And now, for the first time, their stories are clashing. It's not about who's right or wrong. It's about what happens when loyalty no longer looks the same on both sides, and the cast feels it. The viewers feel it. And even though we're only seeing the trailer, it's already clear that this season is going to ask one powerful question. Can trust ever be rebuilt once it's broken on camera? As the trailer unfolds further, the impact of Kirk and Mendeecees' Cold War spreads like wildfire across the cast. While the two men continue to dodge direct confrontation, the rest of the group is feeling the ripple effects. What started as a subtle fracture is now threatening to split the entire circle. And fans, they're watching it all unfold in slow motion. Rasheda, caught in the middle of her husband's silence and the growing tension, begins to show signs of frustration. In one scene, she's sitting alone with Yandy, the two women finally having a heart-to-heart. Rashida sighs deeply and says, I just want everybody to stop pretending like this ain't real. It's affecting everything. Kirk won't say it. But I know this is personal for him. Yandi nods slowly, her tone more serious than usual. And Mendeecees, he doesn't like being disrespected. He holds things in, but he never forgets. What's striking about this moment is the quiet honesty between the two women. No screaming, no accusations, just shared concern. They're both trying to hold their households together while navigating friendships that feel like they're cracking apart. Fans praised the moment online, calling it one of the realest parts of the trailer. It showed that while the men are caught up in pride and principle, the women are the ones absorbing the emotional toll. In another clip, Scrappy meets up with Kirk at a barbershop. The vibe is lighter, but the conversation turns serious fast. Scrappy brings it up casually, saying, Yo, you and Mendeecees good? Or is it just tension for the cameras? Kirk looks down at his hands and replies, Man, it ain't for the cameras. I thought we had an understanding, but clearly, he sees things different now. Scrappy raises an eyebrow. Different? How? Kirk responds, He forgot the times. I stood up for him when folks was dragging him. Now he got a new crew, and don't even look my way. That line hit fans hard, because if Kirk really feels abandoned, that might explain the sudden switch in energy. But at the same time, it raises questions. Was Kirk expecting loyalty just because of past favors, or is Mendeecees truly switching up? Meanwhile, Yandi and Mendeecees are shown walking through a park in one of the calmer moments. Mendeecees is unusually quiet. Yandi presses him. You gonna talk to Kirk? He pauses before saying, I don't need to talk to people who think they better than me. It's clear the rift is no longer just a disagreement. It's now about ego, pride, and past wounds that neither of them seems ready to address. Head-on. In a shocking trailer twist, Rashida ends up speaking to Mendeecees herself. The scene is brief, but powerful. She says, I don't know what happened between y'all, but Kirk's not gonna say it. He feels hurt, and when he feels hurt, he hides behind that pride. Mendeecees replies, hurt? Or guilty? The moment lingers. No resolution. Just that lingering, uncomfortable question. It's the kind of scene that makes you replay it. Trying to read between the lines. Fans immediately flooded social media with theories. Some say Kirk did something shady behind Mendeecees' back. Others believe Mendeecees might have called Kirk out on something the public doesn't even know about yet. There's even talk that it could be about a past business deal that went sour. Nobody knows for sure. But one thing is certain, this ain't surface level beef. It's rooted in history, and it's now exploding on camera. Then there's the cast dinner. The producers love putting them in one place and letting the drama stew. Kirk and Mendeecees are seated far apart. The conversation starts off polite, forced even, but the tension is undeniable. Spice tries to lighten the mood with a joke, but it doesn't land. Then she turns to Kirk and asks bluntly, so are y'all ever gonna talk it out or just keep dodging each other? The table goes silent. Kirk sips his drink. Mendeecees stares at his plate. And then Kirk finally speaks. Some people only show love when there's something in it for them. Everyone looks at Mendeecees. He doesn't move, doesn't blink. But then he says, I'd rather deal with enemies who honest than friends who fake. Boom. And just like that, the dinner goes from awkward to icy. Bambi leans in and whispers to Spice, they're gonna end up fighting if this keeps up. Spice replies, They're already fighting, just not with their hands. It's real, it's raw, and it's exactly the kind of silent war that makes for explosive TV. No chairs flying, no shouting, just to men airing years of resentment with surgical precision. What's wild is that other cast members are now starting to take sides. Even if they won't admit it, you can feel the shift in the group dynamics. People who used to be neutral are choosing who they stand next to, who they eat with, who they call after filming. And the fans, they're keeping receipts, comparing old seasons to this one. Digging up past interviews. Some even reposted a throwback where Kirk once called Mendeecees one of the realest ones out here, and now radio silence. And we can't forget the confessional where Kirk says, "You ever help somebody build something only to watch them act like they built it alone?" He doesn't say names, but again, the target is clear and it's personal. Fans reacted instantly, saying Kirk's words were laced with hurt and ego. Others argued that Mendeecees has always walked his own path and never needed validation from Kirk in the first place. Meanwhile, in her solo confessional, Yandi says something that hits home. When men fall out, they don't talk it out. They just stop talking, and that's exactly what's happening. No apologies. No attempts to clear the air, just distance, pride, and silence. The last clip in this segment of the trailer shows Kirk walking out of a set location, clearly upset. A producer follows him, asking, "What's going on?" Kirk says, "I ain't gonna sit here and pretend like everything's cool when it ain't. I ain't built like that." The camera pans to Rashida watching from the doorway, her expression tired, like a woman who's seen this play out too many times before. And as he walks away, fans are left wondering how much of this is pride and how much is pain. Because behind all the slick lines and icy stares, there's something deeper here. A friendship, or at least a mutual respect that's been bruised. And whether it can be repaired, nobody knows. But here's the thing, everything we've shared is based on real moments. These aren't made-up plot lines or imagined drama. If you've seen the season 13 trailer, you know every line, every expression, every shift in energy is right there. And if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. Everything we're breaking down comes straight from that footage. Nothing added, nothing twisted. This season isn't just about relationship drama or petty fight. It's about loyalty, ego, and what happens when real-life bonds start to crack on camera. Kirk and Mendeecees may not have come to blows, but make no mistake, the emotional fallout is already explosive. The deeper this drama goes, the more it feels like something personal is unraveling in public. Kirk and Mendeecees didn't just have a disagreement, they experienced a fundamental break in trust. And what's wild is that they're not even shouting. No scenes of wild arguments or physical confrontations, just the cold kind of distance that stings worse than words. And somehow, that silence says everything. In one of the trailer's final scenes, we see Mendeecees sitting alone. No background music, no flashy edits, just him, quiet, reflective. The camera lingers as he speaks slowly. Sometimes people think you owe them forever, but I got my own life, my own path. His voice doesn't shake, but there's a hint of something deeper, maybe regret, maybe exhaustion. Cut to Kirk in his own confessional, a separate moment, but equally raw. I ain't mad, he said. I'm just not gonna chase anybody down for peace. If you know me, you know I don't do fake. But the truth is, this whole situation isn't just about two men falling out. It's about perception, about what loyalty looks like when cameras are rolling, and how pride gets in the way of healing when no one wants to take the first step. Rasheeda, once again caught in the middle, tries to play peacemaker. In a scene where the cast is gathered in a studio, she gently pushes Kirk to say something. Look, I know you feel some kind of way, she tells him, but you gotta stop walking around like you ain't hurt. It's okay to admit when something got to you. Kirk shrugs her off, but it's clear her words hit somewhere soft. Fans were quick to notice that Rasheeda might be one of the only people who truly sees through Kirk's walls. Some even said she's the emotional anchor in all this, holding her husband accountable without embarrassing him on camera. And it's true, she walks that line carefully, balancing support with honesty. But on the flip side, Yandy is starting to lose patience. In a private conversation with Spice, she says, Kirk acting like he, the victim, but my husband ain't never disrespected that man. Never. Spice listens, nodding slowly, before dropping a line that set Twitter on fire. Maybe Kirk Matt, because Mendeecees stopped playing his game. The clip cuts there, but the damage is done. Now the story shifts slightly. It's no longer just about what Kirk and Mendeecees did or didn't say. It's about the people around them interpreting the silence. It's about how the cast reacts. Some stay out of it. Others, like Spice and Scrappy, clearly have opinions. And that division starts to show Dodd in a group gathering later in the trailer. Tensions hit a boiling point. Kirk and Mendeecees are in the same room again. This time, Yandy and Rasheeda are also present, and you can feel the tension through the screen. A producer steps in, trying to ease the moment, asking if they want to talk it out on camera. Both men stay silent. Then Kirk breaks the quiet. I said what I said. Ain't nothing else to talk about. Mendeecees looks up, calm but firm, then stops saying it in rooms I ain't in. Rasheeda visibly winces. Yandy crosses her arms. The room goes quiet again. Spice mutters, "Here we go," under her breath. And then, just like that, Kirk stands up and walks out. But this time, he looks back, and that single glance, it says more than any speech. Cadet fans were divided. Some said Mendeecees was holding his ground with grace. Others believed Kirk was done trying and just wanted peace. But everyone agreed on one thing. This wasn't fake drama. This wasn't producers stirring the pot. It was something real, something raw, and it was unfolding in front of everyone's eyes. As the trailer nears its end, there's one final twist. A private scene shows Kirk and Rasheeda at home. She's quiet, thinking. Kirk asks, "You think I messed up?" She doesn't answer right away. Finally, she says, "I think you let your pride speak for you. And I think you miss your friend." That line left fans speechless, because beneath all the shade, all the pride, all the public posturing, there's still something that hurts. It's not just a storyline. It's a friendship that might have been real once, now reduced to cold glances and avoided conversations. Mendeecees has a similar moment in a scene with his son. He talks about what it means to stand on principle. "I don't teach my kids to follow anybody. I teach them to be men. And sometimes that means walking away from people you used to call brothers. It's powerful, emotional, and it gave fans a whole new layer to think about. Because now, this story isn't just about drama. It's about growth, about how people change, and about how sometimes those changes don't align with the people they used to be close to. Kirk and Mendeecees didn't explode, they drifted. And that quiet unraveling, it's even more compelling than a full-blown fight. The final scene is a montage. Quick shots of the cast dancing, laughing, partying, but woven between those clips are flashes of Kirk alone, Mendeecees looking away, Yendi tearing up, and Rashida sighing. It's like the season is promising everything, Finn, drama, romance, but it's also warning us that some bonds won't survive. And here's the truth, not here to tell you what's right or wrong. We're here to break down what we've actually seen. Every line, every moment, every stare mentioned in this breakdown is in the real season 13 trailer of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Nothing here is fabricated, and if you don't believe it, you can watch the trailer for yourself, rewind it, pause it, read between the lines. It's all there. Our job is to connect the dots and give you the context the trailer doesn't say out loud, and the context is clear. Kirk and Mena, two men who once stood shoulder to shoulder in loyalty and mutual respect, are no longer walking the same path. Maybe they will one day, maybe they won't. But this season, it's showing us every beat of that fallout, and fans are eating it up. So now you've seen it for yourself. The tension between Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris isn't just speculation. It's right there in the trailer, layered between cold glances, quiet exits, and confessions that say more than shouting ever could. This isn't about fake drama or made-up storylines. These are real moments captured in real time. And if you still think it's all smoke and mirrors, hit play on that trailer, rewind it, listen closely. Everything we've broken down is right there, plain and clear, This isn't just another season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. This is the unraveling of loyalty, pride, and relationships that once seemed unbreakable. Kirk and Mendeecees aren't yelling, but their silence is louder than anything else happening. This season, and you can bet fans everywhere are already choosing sides, digging up old receipts, and waiting to see how deep this fallout goes. But now, it's your turn to speak up. What do you think caused this tension? Is Kirk letting pride cloud his vision, or is Mendeecees finally stepping into his own and refusing to play politics? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. And if you're loving this kind of deep dive, make sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single moment of the drama, because trust us, we're just getting started. This season, it's about to test every relationship, every alliance, and every secret ever whispered behind closed doors. And we'll be right here, breaking it all down, one bombshell at a time.